Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Badger Pack Sports. Big Ten tournament just got done. Selection Sunday done and over with. We're going to be talking Badgers in the Big Ten tournament and where they went for March Madness, where they got seated. Joined here as always by my co-host Justin. Justin, how's it going?
Man, it's my favorite time of the year. What a great Big Ten tournament for Wisconsin. I know we'll spend some time talking about that. I'm ready to go for Thursday. I have a lot to say about that too in today's episode, but I'm good, man. I think the Badgers basketball team really took the challenge head on going into the Big Ten tournament and really increased their stock and helped their seeding going up to a 3 seed. So yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I'm hyped. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. And got my
Yeah,
green on St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day.
yeah.
We're streaming on that tonight. So no Badger red for me tonight. I'll go green.
But yeah, no, Brian Butch said, he liked when they were in the tournament, it's like show you're the best team in the Big Ten there. So it's like the Badgers almost did it. They were pretty close, but I think just kind of ran out of some gas there at the end there.
Yeah, and I think the we lost that tough game against Penn State in Senior Day, and I think the morale of the fan base was quite low, and the feeling going into the Big Ten tournament was, can we even beat Northwestern or Minnesota? We played that winner of that game, and we took care of business. And then UCLA game 2, we just could not miss. We were due for a game to just explode with 19 3-pointers, setting a. I think we tied a Big Ten tournament record for most made threes. Just a tremendous performance. Really invigorated the fan base, provide confidence to the guys. You can just see it. And then moving on to a Michigan State team with Jace Richardson and Cohen Carr, I can still see him flying through the air doing his crazy dunks. And Tom Izzo in March is always tough. And for us to get a win against them, I think that really secured us having a 3 seed. And then, like you said too, Robbie, tired legs, 4 games in 4 days against a tough physical Michigan team with 2 7-footers and Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden. That was a tough watch. Both teams really struggled offensively, but I think what you take out of that is we can compete and play different types of games. A bruiser kind of game. St. Mary's is in our area of the bracket in the NCAA tournament. That's the type of team we could have those kind of ugly game against if they make it. So we'll have to see, Robbie. I don't know what your thoughts were from the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely makes them battle tested there. Like you said, it's just tough playing those 4 games in a row, and then we'll get into it. But just having to play Thursday, I think that's going to be rough. But I think it definitely does do good for your mentality. I mean, they were still in it till the very end against Michigan there. I don't know if we want to talk about replay and how it's like at some point it's like they were obviously out of bounds. It's like that call should have been made in like a second out. Like, in the NFL where they have an expedited review, that's what they
They
needed there.
perfect that, yeah. Those end of the games are brutal to watch, especially when you have a wife and kids. My wife's like, it's dinner's almost ready, and she's like, how much is left in the game? I'm saying a minute, and the minute takes 20 minutes, and dinner's cold at the table. It's like, I know that's a silly example, but it's like it shouldn't take 20 real-time minutes to get through 1 minute of gameplay. And of course, we want the calls to be right. There's a lot on the line. A lot of these guys, live and breathe to win a tournament like the Big Ten tournament. So we get the importance, but at some point, expedited review or some sort of change needs to be made because the refs are almost making the game about them versus about the guys on the floor. And
and Justin needs hot food. So
I do. Daddy's got to eat.
Nothing's worse than cold food.
No, especially after a loss. Then we lost the game. Then I have cold food. I mean, it was just. And then if we transition, I think if we just summarize the Big Ten tournament, great way to kind of catapult us into the NCAA tournament from that Senior Day loss. I think seeing the ball go through the hoop quite a bit. John Blackwell played really well. John Tonje. Gilly James is back, or as the broadcast would call him, Jilly James. That was a little bit of a joke going on. They kept calling him Jilly. I don't know what that was about, but seeing some threes fall for him and getting our bench going, I think that's going to be the key, is getting our bench, guys like Jack Janicki, who have been a walk-on, unsung hero, Carter Gilmore being a great local story, Middleton kid. And then Xavier Amos, guy I've been high on. I've been really high on him. I know he's been trying to put together kind of the fitting into the scheme and offensively,
Yeah.
not a bull in the china shop kind of player. But really saw some flashes from him too, and hopefully he can harness some of that come tournament time. But Robbie, give us a little rundown. What's the deal with the tournament? We got a 3 seed. I think we're playing in Denver, right?
Yep. Playing in Denver, going up against Montana on Thursday. We get to be the kickoff game. It's like, so that makes it just even worse. It's like not only did we play on Sunday, but now we're going to be the first game on Thursday
In altitude. And
in altitude. Yeah.
I when the bracket got released, Robbie, I was messaging you. I was a little bit fired up. I, I,
Yeah.
I don't know what the committee was thinking. Okay, how do you reward? And I'm going to throw Michigan in this too. Michigan got absolutely hosed. A 5 seed on Thursday as well, playing a
Yep.
UC San Diego team, which is they're a fire 12 seed. If you're looking for a
Yep.
12-5, look at San Diego. That's a team. We won't talk Michigan, but I'm just saying, like, how as a committee can look at a team that played 4 games in 4 days and then uh, have them play Thursday in altitude
Yep.
as a 3 seed. So, and then Milwaukee was in the picture, which I'm going
Yep.
there. So I had a little bit of emotional attachment for us to play Milwaukee. But, a team like Kentucky gets rewarded, and I think it's because Lexington was a pod site and Kentucky can't play in Lexington. So, there was a lot of breakdown on that. And I kind of let the Milwaukee thing go a little bit. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. But what really bothered me is having us play, like you said, the first game on Thursday in altitude against Montana, which I think we have no problems. We're 17.5-point favorites. If we lose to
Yeah.
them, that's disastrous. But you also have a team like BYU in our pod. Provo, Utah, they're up
Yep.
about 4,000 feet of elevation. The elevation
Yep.
factor is a key piece here that some people have been talking about. And I think with some tired legs for 4 games in 4 days, Robbie, do you have some concern with kind of that placement?
Yeah, I definitely think, like you said, it's just going to be kind of that conditioning thing, just not being used to it. Like I've heard people talking about football and how the ball travels farther and stuff like that. I don't think that's going to affect things, but
No.
it truly is just the altitude thing there and tired legs. No, it seems like some SEC bias. You look at the amount of SEC teams. I'm like,
14
what?
teams.
I'm like, what? They putting some money into the into the ears, into the pockets,
Well,
guiding
it's
how things are going.
not as bad as North Carolina, and that's like the
Yeah.
shocker. Of course, every year there's always the team that feels like they should have got in, and team,
Yeah.
the bubble's always. But this guy, this case, North Carolina 1-12 in quad
Yeah.
1 games, and their AD is the head of the committee,
Oh,
who also gets about $100,000 bonus when his team makes the NCAA tournament. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something doesn't add up. All right.
Yeah.
But we'll see. They might be in Milwaukee, so I may see them in person
Yeah.
play. And actually, we kind of like to see them play because it's a good brand, and they're not a bad team. It's just
Yeah.
you feel like there's teams like Boise State or Indiana in the Big Ten who
Yeah.
got gypped, or West Virginia. But I guess back to Wisconsin, and um, not to. I'm going to transition from maybe more of a negative mindset but into a positive one,
Yeah.
where perhaps them getting on a plane and going to Denver and just getting away and have a chip on their shoulder. That there's also that side of the coin too. And I've kind of had a chance to sleep on it and think about it. And it's like they could have very well showed up, after a really strong Big Ten tournament showing, come into Milwaukee, king of the hill. Hey, this is our turf. We're gonna come in here and maybe come a little bit relaxed or a little bit confident. I mean, I would again. I don't. I'm pulling straws here, but there is also an argument there. Where it's like, you know what? We're a little bit disrespected. They got to send us to Denver.
Yeah.
They play us on Thursday. Let's show them who we're made of. And I
Yeah.
hope that's what happens. We are desperately needing a first round win,
Yeah.
especially after
Well, the
JMU
the good
last
thing
year.
is that, we win on Thursday, get a little bit longer break there after that. So that does help. And it's like, so hopefully playing Montana, you're able to get the win there, rest up. I agree with you, sending these guys out, it's like on a plane, it's not that bad. It's like, and something that, you know, being thankful of, it's like we got a pretty senior heavy team this year, which will hurt us next year. But I think these guys are professionals. Just with the way they've handled themselves this year, I think, you know, really nothing too crazy as far as attitudes. I mean, the worst thing that happened, I think most people would say, was Stephen Crawl without a rebound, and guard took care of that. And I thought he played well against Michigan, actually. So
Did you see
I
the
was happy.
Stephen? Did you see the Corral technical against?
Yeah,
Was that against UCLA or Michigan State? I can't remember.
uh,
Uh, little
the Michigan
expletives
State
and
game. Yeah,
yeah, nice block and it's funny because the Badger fan
get
base. I
that
know
stuff
Ryan
out of
Herring's.
here.
Yeah, exactly. Ryan Herring's from Locked On Badgers is the biggest Stephen Corral apologist out there, and he will tell you
Yeah,
that. And he always says we'll miss Stephen Corral when he's gone. And I'm up
yeah,
and down on the guy, but the moment he always says the moment us as fans want him to show fire, and the moment he shows fire, he gets teed up. So hey, I'll take 5 Stephen Corral tees if that means that he's being aggressive and rebounding and putting the ball in the bucket. Just saying, obviously not 5, but
yeah.
it's a figure of speech.
I had just I've adjusted my expectations on Stephen Crawl. I've never expected him to like, you know, really throw down big dunks. I actually think it's worse when he tries to yam them down. Somehow
Mm-hmm.
he ends up making the shot worse. It's like just try to make a quick dunk. It's like you don't try to need to do anything extra. I think he's a good facilitator, and that's what I expect out of him every game. And so far, it's like he really hasn't disappointed me too much. I think they actually do a good job starting out, trying to feed him in the post, and then working the offense from there after that.
Yeah, and so I spent a couple minutes too talking about the matchup. So Montana, 14 seed, they're out of the Big Sky, 25-9 in the regular season. Some mid-major teams can scare you. And I don't think this team scares me a whole lot. They played a couple power teams. They went to Eugene, Oregon, and got blown out by 40.
Yeah,
They also lost to Tennessee by 35 plus. They're definitely to be had. They're not a big team. Their tallest guy, I think, is like 6'8", 6'9", not
yeah.
not known for interior presence or
I was gonna say,
physicality.
but still not that big because that was James Madison. They didn't have anybody tall last year, but
But they were
their guys were
physical,
they were physical, and so
right?
yeah, no, Crowell should be able to handle 6'8", not very physical.
Yeah, and one of my favorite names I've seen, Money Williams is their leading scorer at 13 points per game. So I can see a guy like Blackwell maybe being locked up on him or Klesmit splitting
Yeah,
time just to kind of focus on him and let the 4 other guys beat you. Um, this is a team that can be had. I think with all the negative things we said about the fact of being in Denver and playing on Thursday, perhaps the committee gave us a break and giving us one of the worst off 14 seeds. A lot of bracketologists were having Montana as a 15. So the fact that we got them as a 14 perhaps is a little nod to us saying, hey, we screwed you everywhere else. We'll give you the 3 and give you a favorable matchup.
yeah,
So yeah, the line opened up at 17 and a half. It dropped down to 16 and a half. I just think there's that number is going to fluctuate here and there. 152 and a half over under. So I think there's going to be some scoring. I could see the first half being very low scoring just because
yeah,
teams are getting, a little bit of nerves, getting their feet wet. And I can see the second half, maybe Wisconsin pulling away. So don't be surprised if the first half's a little close. I think the bigger challenge for Wisconsin is going to be round 2. We're looking
yeah,
at VCU and BYU, the acronym matchup.
yeah,
VCU out of the Atlantic 10, they won their conference championship over George Mason yesterday. They're more known for their defense, and they can really force a lot of turnovers and put a lot of ball pressure, which with us
yeah,
having turnover problems at
yeah,
times and no point guard, true point guard,
yeah,
that could be a tough matchup. And then BYU, I don't know if you watched them, Robbie, in the Big 12 conference tournament. They lit up Iowa State. They can score in bunches. They remind me of a more athletic version of us, where they rely on the 3 ball, but they have a lot of athletes inside that can fly and rebound. If they and they kind of have a little bit of a home advantage there out west.
yep,
Maybe and obviously we talked about
yeah.
the
It's not
altitude
that far
factor,
for them
right?
to
So
travel
I
there.
can see, and it's been a sexy pick already. I've been looking at lots of bracket predictions. A lot of people love BYU over Wisconsin in the round of 32. Um, I can see it happening. Obviously, I'm not rooting for it, but that matchup does worry me. I don't know, Robbie, what you know about BYU or VCU, but
Yeah,
where's your head
no,
at? I guess with the Montana and the other second round matchup.
yeah. I think that Montana were good there. I think it's like I think the VCU matchup would probably scare me the most, in all honesty, just because of the defense and, like you said, that lack of a true point guard. And just watching Oregon, when they were able to put that full court press on, I think if you got the athletic enough defense to be able to do that, it's like that it was just difficult watching the Badgers in the second half not be able to take care of that. I mean, Kamari McGee, and every once in a while he's able to put the Jets on and run up the court, but there's not Blackwell, I think, did it once, but it was just like they really struggled with that. So I'd rather them try to play an offensive team because it's like though we are shooting the three ball more, Greg Gard is still a defensive minded coach that can scheme more to that,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, and I think one thing we struggled with is covering the three ball, closing out. Sometimes we get a little lackadaisical, so it does worry
Yeah.
me with the BYU. I will say about the ball pressure piece, and we didn't really talk about this, but welcome back, Max Klesman. And I say
Yeah.
that because I think he can be a key in the tournament here, not just from shooting, but facilitating. And if you watch the Badgers close enough and follow them, they can fall in love with the three. They can fall in love with kind of doing the dribble handoffs around the perimeter and chucking up threes, which when they're falling like they were against UCLA, it's fun to watch. It's just it's tremendous. But we watched the Michigan game where we shot 21% from the field, I think, something horrific, even worse at the 3-point line. You know, we're not going to hit shots all the time. And I think having a guy like Klesman that can facilitate, get into the paint, you know, if we succeed at the 3-point line when we get penetration in the paint and kicking it out to our open shooters and get that defense to collapse. And then you'll see guys like Tonje and Blackwell and even Gilly James himself knock down some threes. So
Yeah.
I think the blueprint's there. And nice to see Nolan Winter also healthy. He was a little banged up in the Penn State game. He had a great Big Ten tournament too.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely say this team also is, I think, good at being able to drive them to the paint and, get the fouls. And I know I heard a lot about it. Just, once you get into the tournament, these refs kind of hone in on things, that you're going to hear the whistle a little bit more. So I think that does help also suit the Badgers. Tanjay's a guy who likes to go to the line. I think Blackwell's one to drive too. So I could definitely see Blackwell and Tanjay getting to the line quite a bit in this tournament.
Yeah, Robbie. So I guess my question to you is, what's the ceiling for this team? Like, for you to, and maybe not ceiling, but also what's considered a success for you for this team? If how far they need to go?
Just to consider it a success, they need to win against Montana and be competitive in the next game. First round exit's unacceptable, but it's still the tournament, so anything can happen in my opinion. So I just think that we've already talked about it. BYU or VCU could give them a tough matchup in ways. So if they were to lose one of those, I really wouldn't be shocked. But I do think they should be able to pull those games out. I'd say top for me, probably Sweet 16. I mean, maybe they could try to make it for an Elite Eight because, like, once you get there, I mean, you're there. You might as well try to win. So, I mean, they call it March Madness for a reason. And we've already shown against UCLA, hey, the three ball might start going in.
Yeah, I'm with you. Montana's not a worry. I mean, if we lose to Montana, I don't even. I'll be without words.
Yeah.
I think we got to get to the
Greg
Sweet
Gard
16.
seat's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be in that camp. I would just need like probably about 4 months to hibernate on Wisconsin basketball and think about something else. Spring football just started, so maybe I'll focus on that a little more. But I think you got to get to the Sweet 16. And there's a few reasons why. One, if you're not going to do it now, when will you do it? Yep. And I heard that someone brought that comment up, and I think it's tremendous, and it's spot on. You have a senior laden team: Tonje, Gilmore, Kamari McGee, Max Klesman, Stephen Crowell, veteran laden team that can shoot, that can defend. We got a favorable seed in the tournament. We're not asking a 7 seed to go for a miracle run. We're a 3 seed. We should get to the Sweet 16. We're going to be favored where we should be favored in the next 2 games. So if you're not going to do it this year, I want to know when, because I think the hill's only going to get taller to climb next season. Blackwell and Winter will be back, but we don't know what the teams will look like outside of that. So I really think to get that monkey off Greg Gard's back, we had some really early tournament success with those Bronson Caning teams and Ethan Happ. You gotta get something. We haven't been in the Sweet 16, I think, in 7 or 8 years. It's time. Yeah. This is the best chance he's had since the Johnny Davis team, which Chucky Hepburn's ankle injury had a big say in that.
Yeah.
Barring injury, I will say if there is I don't want to speak it out in the atmosphere here, but
yep.
Barring
in
injury,
case something happens,
yeah. We should get to Sweet 16, and then at that point, you're probably looking at Bama. And I will say, I'll answer my own question about the ceiling. I think Bama's interesting because they have Nelson, who's their forward. I can't remember his first name, but he's seeing a knee specialist today. I don't know what the feedback was from that, but he's one of their better players. They're a little bit banged up. So if we can get Alabama banged up out in Newark in the Sweet 16, anything can happen. They can out athlete us, but if we're making our shots, we can beat anybody in the country.
Yep.
I think that's kind of where we hit our ceiling, though. Duke's in our bracket. That's tough.
Yeah.
So I think I can see us get to the Elite Eight, but losing to a team like Duke in our bracket in the East region.
Yep. No, I definitely want to be able to get to the Sweet 16. Like you said, if not now, when? But I can just I could see the loss happening, and I wouldn't be mad. I guess is my opinion. Like I'd be upset when it happens, but it's March Madness. I can see it happening. It was a great season so far. It's like regular season. Badgers did a really good job, especially after last year. They kind of collapsed midway through the season. I didn't see that. I thought they got stronger. After they lost a game, I thought they bounced back, but you're in the tournament. You don't get a chance to bounce back. So if you're going to bounce back, it better be while you're playing. If you hit the wall, you need to figure out a way that you're going to be able to combat that in the game.
Absolutely. And we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear in the comments, how far do you think Wisconsin's going to go? What do you think about how the committee handled the pod situation, the signing against Denver and on Thursday? Am I making a big deal about it? Am I just whining, or is there some validity to that?
Yeah.
And another thing I want you to put in the comments is what player are you watching? Who's the X factor? And Robbie, I'll let you think about the X factor for you, but for me, I really think it's John Blackwell. John Tonje is getting all the attention. Stephen Crowell, can feast the paint a bit. I think John Blackwell, with his skill set of being able to shoot the three but also get inside, I think will be a huge asset to the team, and I think he's due for an explosion game.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say Blackwell as my X factor because I think he's one of the 2-star players, and it's John Tonje and John Blackwell. So I think I'd go with Max Klesmit, just with him being healthy. It's like, and I still feel like we haven't seen him really like heat up in the microwave, just like have that great game where he goes off. And I could see him coming up with that soon. I think he's going to be the X factor in the tournament, especially with him being, having that rest and coming back from that injury. It's like, I think that's going to be the guy to watch in this tournament. You need that star role player to come out, in March Madness, who's going to help, bring the team to the next level.
Yeah, I love the pick. And the reason why I said Blackwell is just because Tonje is getting all the love. Dropped the 32-point game. Blackwell, from a national perspective, Blackwell could be kind of forgotten. Obviously, us as Badger fans, we love Blackwell, but I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of have an introduction to the national stage for Blackwell. And I think Klesmit is a senior. He's going to leave it all on the floor. And I think he's due for a nuclear game for sure.
Yep.
All righty. Well, I'm ready. I'm ready for Thursday to get here. First 4 games start tomorrow already. I will be in Milwaukee. If any of you all are going to be in Milwaukee, reach out in the comments. I would love to stop by, say hi, meet up. I'm excited for the tournament. This is my favorite time of the year, and I hope there's madness, except for Wisconsin. The madness for them is moving on, and for a miracle tournament run. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, at least Final Four. I love that madness.
Oh, please sign me up. Sign me up.
Sign me up. All right. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in to this episode of Badger Pack Sports. Glad we could talk some ball. Tune in next time. I think we're going to be talking some football next time after this basketball show, talking a little bit of spring game and a commit that we just had. So thanks for everyone listening. Tune in next time.